A day after Rahul Gandhi's 53-minute speech in Parliament, the Prime Minister spoke for 87 minutes. The occasion, technically, was giving a motion of thanks to the President's address, which is part of parliamentary process. But there was no doubt that the target was the opposition and more specifically the Congress party. The Prime Minister called UPA's rule India's lost decade and attacked the Congress on corruption. No mention, though, was made directly of the Adani issue. Listen in.
कांग्रेस ने कहा था कि भारत की बर्बादी पर हार्वर्ड में केस स्टडी होगी, ऐसा कहा था। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, बीते वर्षों में हार्वर्ड में एक बहुत बढ़िया स्टडी हुई है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टडी हुई है, और उस स्टडी है, उसका टॉपिक क्या था मैं जरूर सदन को बताना चाहूंगा, और ये स्टडी हो चुकी है। स्टडी है द राइज एंड डिक्लाइन ऑफ इंडियाज कांग्रेस पार्टी। पिछले 10 साल में 2014 के पहले 2004 से 14 भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था खस्ता हाल हो गई। निराशा नहीं होगी तो क्या होगा? 10 साल में महंगाई डबल डिजिट रही, और इसलिए कुछ अगर अच्छा होता है तो निराशा और उभर करके आती है। हर सोच में आशा ही आशा नजर आ रही है। एक विश्वास से भरा हुआ देश है, लेकिन यहां काका हाथरसी ने एक बड़ी मजेदार बात कही थी। आगा पीछा देखकर क्यों होते गमगीन, जैसी जिसकी भावना वैसा दिखे सीन। जब राष्ट्रपति जी का भाषण हो रहा था, कुछ लोग कन्नी भी काट गए, और एक बड़े नेता महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी का अपमान भी कर चुके हैं। लेकिन जब इस प्रकार की बातें टीवी के सामने कही गई, तो भीतर पड़ा हुआ जो नफरत का भाव था, जो सच, वो बाहर आके ही रह गया।
While the opposition speeches so far in this session and yesterday specifically have been dominated by the Adani issue, the Prime Minister did not speak of it. Instead, he said the opposition makes false allegations and lies in desperation. The response of the Congress was twofold. One, to say that the issue of Adani had been sidestepped, but the bigger grouse was with parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech from yesterday being expunged.
Hi, Mr. Gandhi, what do you have to say? Your words were expunged.
Why were my words expunged? No, in fact, Prime Minister was shell-shocked. He was in shock and there was no answer. एक जवाब नहीं दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, और मैंने कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन तो नहीं पूछा है। मैंने ये पूछा है आपके साथ कितनी बार गए हैं, वहाँ कितनी बार मिले हैं, तो सिंपल से सवाल थे, जवाब नहीं दिया।
लेकिन उन्होंने जवाब मिले क्या?
सवाल पूछे थे, आपको जवाब मिला।
पीएम के स्पीच पे आपको क्या कहना है?
जवाब मिला आपको? No, I'm not satisfied, but it reveals the truth. हिंदी ये मतलब स्पीच से सच्चाई दिखती है कि अच्छा, इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई। अगर मित्र नहीं है तो ये कहते ठीक है मैं इंक्वायरी करा देता हूँ। इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई। डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री है, वहां पे शेल कंपनीज हैं, बेनामी पैसा घूम रहा है, उसके बारे में प्रधानमंत्री ने कुछ नहीं कहा।
If I speak truth, it is anti-national. Sir. I am not anti-national. I am more patriotic than anybody of you. I am a Bhumiputra. I have not come from Afghanistan or from Germany.
All right, so now the key question post this is, does the counter by the Prime Minister set the stage for the 2024 battle? Has the speech by Prime Minister Modi basically blunted the opposition's attack on Adani, or was the response to questions on Adani insufficient? Will corruption charges, importantly, continue to haunt the Congress electorally? Because it's very clear that the strategy here politically seems to be to hark back to the Congress's legacy or political legacy of accusations of corruption. So to speak more on this and to understand whether this has actually buried the Adani issue politically or not, I'm joined now by Dr. Rajdeep Roy. He's BJP MP in the Lok Sabha. Yashwant Deshmukh, founder and chief editor, C Voter, with me on the show. I'm going to be speaking today with Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, and Sanjay Jha, author. In a bit from now, I'm also going to be talking with PDD Achari, who's a constitutional expert, because I am keen to understand the bit about the expulsion of parts of the speech, why that happens, and is the Prime Minister, is it incumbent upon him to actually answer opposition rhetoric? So we'll get to that in a bit, but meanwhile, welcome to all of you. I see Tehseen there on my screen, so I'm going to come to you first, Tehseen, since you were there on yesterday's show as well. We spoke about Rahul Gandhi's 53 minutes. The response has been 87 minutes. And has it effectively blunted the attack?
Good evening, Tamanna. Thank you so much for having me on the show after yesterday again. And actually, when I heard the Most Honorable Prime Minister speak today in Parliament, and I'm not making this up, I did think about you. I thought about you because as a fair moderator, you would have got the Most Honorable Prime Minister back on track. The questions that were asked to the Prime Minister, he answered none of that specifically, chose to indulge in whataboutery, rhetoric, one-upmanship, but answer no specific questions. To add insult to injury, the opposition member of parliament, Shri Rahul Gandhi, who spoke yesterday for 53 minutes, his speeches were expunged. You can expunge something from parliament. How are you going to remove them from either the internet or from the television channels or from our mobile phones? So I don't know how that's going to work. But here are the pertinent questions. The Most Honorable Prime Minister was asked, is it possible that shell companies can operate within India from outside, from offshore countries or from offshore into India and bring in money? These are criminal offenses. He chose to ignore it. His answer was, you had a CWG Gotala. The question to the Prime Minister was there insider trading? The answer to that was, I give 80 crore people food. The question to the Most Honorable Prime Ministers were regulators and the government mechanism favoring a individual, thereby artificially rising stock prices. The answer to that was, aapke zamane mein ye hua, unke zamane mein wo hua. That is not the answers. The questions were specific. We expected that the Prime Minister, the largest democracy in the world, would give us correct answers. He gave us none. Whataboutery, rhetoric. He may have thought he scored good brownie points. In my opinion, it was a very disappointing speech.
All right. Is it incumbent upon the Prime Minister to answer these questions, considering that this was specifically a motion of thanks on the President's address? Yashwant Deshmukh, politically, do you think this has resonated? Because the Prime Minister in this speech was, at his best, the typical sort of Modi speech, where there is a lot of young, there is play on words and sharp attacks on the opposition. Do you think it has blunted the charges at all, or is that sort of accusation that Tehseen is echoing, कि आपने actual मुद्दे पर तो बोला नहीं? Do you think that will stick? I think you're on mute, Yashwant. Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
So what Prime Minister did essentially today was to bring down the entire narrative to two different aspects. Number one was, no matter what happens, no matter what is done, whatever accusations are being made up of, people trust me, and they trust me for m number of reasons, and these things don't matter. That's what his entire point of view, which he tried to narrate. Second thing was, Tamanna, that what I could sense from the political side of it, in a way that we are entering the election year, I could sense that the pitch for 2024 is going to be 10 years of UPA versus 10 years of Modi Sarkar. That's the larger umbrella pitch that he is trying to create at this point of time. Whether or not accusations made by Rahul Gandhi are going to stick, it's only time will tell. or whether or not it will yield any electoral results. That will time will tell. But I can tell you one thing, that post Bharat Jodo Yatra, we have reported that Rahul Gandhi's personal ratings were repairing to a considerable extent. And what Congress should be happy or would be happy that he is back in the center stage and back in the place where the vacuum of leadership, opposition leadership, that was largely being seen as some X-factor guy or leader in that way to fill it up, like Arvind Kejriwal or Mamta Banerjee or those kind of leaders trying to come and fill it up. I think that is effectively gone because Rahul Gandhi is pretty much in center stage as the principal opposition leader at this point of time. What makes it a bit ironical also that I believe if Congress is happy that Rahul Gandhi is back in center stage, probably BJP is more happy or happier than the Congress that Rahul Gandhi is in the center stage and Congress is back. Because please try to understand that for any political fight, one has to have an opponent in the ring.
Correct.
The pugilists just cannot do a fist fight in the air. And that vacuum out there was not making even BJP comfortable. I think if Congress is happy, so is BJP, that this thing is now turning out to be Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi fight again. It is too early to say how much is going to be sticking to. But two things from Prime Minister's speech that I could figure out. Number one, that he is making it as a personal pitch कि लोग मुझ पे भरोसा करते हैं. And number two, that probably the poll plank is going to be 10 years of UPA versus 10 years of Modi Sarkar. That's what I could read today.
Okay. Interesting analogy there. Yashwant Deshmukh saying a pugilist needs someone to fight against. Dr. Rajdeep Roy, Honorable MP of the BJP in the Lok Sabha with us. Dr. Roy, so is Rahul Gandhi that punching bag? Is that what the stage is being set up for? Because at the end of the day, of course, Prime Minister Modi spoke with his typical flourish and he is a great orator. But the questions which were raised time and again were not addressed.
Look, I heard Mr. Tehseen with rapt attention. He seemed to be basking in the glory that Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of India, did not answer the question posed by the Congress leader. The Congress leader who has been in the parliament since 2004, which means this is his fourth term, has not only, captained a lost decade, but yesterday also he has wasted almost 20-25 minutes of the valuable time of the parliament. And I am really concerned that a person with immense experience do not know what to speak and how to respond to a president's address.
Who are you talking about? Dr. Roy, are you talking about Tehseen or Rahul Gandhi? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Rahul Gandhi. Why will I talk about Tehseen?
Okay.
Why will I talk about Tehseen?
You started by addressing
what
him.
I was saying is that he seemed to be basking in the glory.
Okay.
That's okay, but you probably missed my second line or third line.
Okay.
So this gentleman who happens to be the captain of the Congress team for the last decade of 10 years, and yesterday also he lost the opportunity to raise up, make some good points. If he had some study or analysis on this government, he lost this opportunity. Coming back to the crux of the matter, what he intended saying was that he wanted to harm the image of the invincible image of our Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is a non-corrupt man. He wanted to, do some mudslinging on the Prime Minister, saying that the Prime Minister is corrupt. None of this has come to be true because he could not give any definite paper or proof or anything to prove that Prime Minister has helped the Adani group to earn some, so-called build an empire like that and all. And interestingly, all his statements has been expunged from the proceedings of the parliament. So why do you think that the Prime Minister will reply? To answer the last part of the question raised by Tehseen, Mr. Tehseen, is that it will be for the ultimately for the people of our country. 140 crore people of our country
Okay.
will decide. At
Prime
the
Minister
end
does
of
not
the
have to reply
to
because
answer
those
questions
statements were expunged.
Posed by the Congress
Okay,
leader.
Prime Minister does not have to reply because those statements
Obviously,
were
why will
expunged.
they reply? It is below the dignity of the Prime Minister to play an underarm delivery. Why will the batsman play an underarm delivery which is not legal?
Okay.
So you have to play
my cricket
to
is
the
not
rule
that
of the
good.
game.
I'm
You
going
are
to get
not playing
Sanjay
the
Jha
rule
to
of the
respond
game.
to that. I'm going to get Sanjay Jha to respond to that. Sanjay Jha, don't feel left out. I want you to respond to it. See, technically, it is a motion of thanks on the President's address. The opposition has used this opportunity to talk about what they thought was important. Does it mean that the Prime Minister also has to address issues that the opposition thinks is important?
Tamanna, first and foremost, I believe Dr. Roy saying that, the Prime Minister does not have to respond to everything is a shame. I mean, this is a democracy. The Prime Minister of the country should respond to every MP, every citizen. I mean, an MP in Parliament represents the people of his constituency, which runs into billions of people. I mean, this is what, the BJP calls the colonial mindset. And this is the hierarchical, feudal, and parochial thinking that BJP has. I think, we need to strongly, kind of refute such, what I call as very patriarchal and extremely condescending way of, my level versus yours. Number two, you asked a question. This is the president's address. Well, Mr. Modi is, I think, prudent politician. And he knows that the world has been talking about only Adani, Adani, and Adani, and Modi, Modi, and Modi in conjunction for the last 10 days. And if Dr. Roy believes that, because the occasion is the president's address, the Prime Minister could conveniently duck and dodge this, well, I can tell you I agree with my friend Tessin completely. This was an absolutely, lackluster, lackadaisical, extremely ineffective sounding Prime Minister. I thought Rahul Gandhi threw the gauntlet at him yesterday. And by the way, Rahul did not indulge in rhetoric. Everything he asked, whether it was about offshore companies, the acquisition of the Mumbai airport from the GVK to the Adani group, the politicians and the business leaders who are probably hand in glove with many of these Adani deals. Why did Adani travel with Mr. Modi to all of the foreign destinations and get the biggest government contracts? Mr. Modi has an answer to give. You can't dodge it. So the simple answer is that today Mr. Modi missed a grand opportunity to disassociate himself with Mr. Adani if he could. But I believe he was caught in a situation where they say you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Okay, Dr. Roy wants to
there
respond.
There is no way that he can deny his association and proximity with GautamAdani. And that, I think, is one of India's biggest crony capitalism scams, which is equivalent to corruption.
Okay, Dr. Roy wants to respond. Opportunity was lost to distance himself. Yes.
Look.
Yes, Dr. Roy.
Mr. GautamAdani and his empire got contracts between 2007 and 8 at Indonesia when UPA was in power. At Australia in 2012 when UPA was in power. Middle East, Africa when UPA was in power. Do we have to say that we need to go back to those deals and see who was the Prime Minister then? Who were doing the deals on behalf of the Prime Minister's office?
He heard you out, Sanjay. He heard you out. Let him complete.
Having said, I did not disturb you.
Yeah, he heard you out.
I did not disturb you.
Yes.
It's a gentleman's debate. You will have your say. Yeah. So if you want to do it, well, you are welcome to it. If you hear what Mr. Kiran Rijiju, the law minister of the country, said today, showing to the photograph that was held up by Mr. Rahul Gandhi yesterday, in one of the aircraft which was used for the Prime Minister's campaign, that this photograph was taken. And there are innumerable photographs of Mr. Adani with other Congress leader. A photograph does not prove a murky deal that has been done. So if you want to hint on that, then I have actually no I am at my wit's end to understand the intelligentsia of Mr. Tehsin and Mr. Jha, both of them in the show today.
Okay.
Can I quickly answer?
That's below the belt. Can I reply? Okay, Sanjay, you then I.
No, I'm going to go to Yashwant Deshmukh.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Yashwant Deshmukh. Dr. Rajdeep Roy said this is a
But
gentleman's
Tamanna-
debate. It is.
But Tamanna, when you hit below the belt,
No,
it means you don't have
everyone will get a
concrete
chance.
arguments.
No,
You don't
Dr.
have
Rajdeep
concrete
Roy is not
arguments,
running
no
away.
problem.
Dr. Rajdeep
Of
Roy is
course
not
he
running
won't.
away. Everyone will get a chance.
And
He
this
said
is in
it's a
the
gentleman's
parliament.
debate. I
I'm
just
not
wanted to
running
say
away.
it's a
And
gentle
it's not a
people's
hit below the
debate.
belt.
I'm
It's
also
not
in
a
it.
hit below the belt.
Okay.
I was
No
there in the
problem, doctor.
parliament
I'll
to
have
see
my
the
say.
debate. It's not a hit below the belt.
I'll have my say, doctor.
Okay, everyone will get their say. Everyone on the show gets their say. They know it. Yashwant Deshmukh, it's the thing is, I don't know, the way I see it, the government in the last few days, with exactly this point that Dr. Roy said, that's why I wanted to come to you, is seeming to want to decouple from this imagery of Prime Minister Modi, GautamAdani on the same plane, which is why he's talking about, other photos. The conversation has been in the last few days that Congress-ruled governments also have deals with the same group. They also have pictures with the same businessmen. Why are you only pointing about one person? Is that your sense as well, that the unsaid part of the response from the government to this entire affair is to decouple, to distance in a sense?
Well, I think more than... I'm sorry, but Tamanna, I did not see it that way.
Okay.
I don't think that they are trying to decouple. Probably the BJP spokesperson and other people are trying to decouple. But I think what Prime Minister did was he did actually try to brazen it out. He actually tried to say that, listen, people trust me. And as far as I am there, people trust me. So these issues or these things, they do not really matter. That's what I could sense, right or wrong, that's the way for everybody to analyze. But in a way that what Rahul Gandhi did was right in his own way, what Prime Minister answered was right in his own way. It's eventually at the end of the day, Tamanna, how public is going to react to it. When I was writing to your show, I was just trying to gulp down on my tea before coming back, and the dear friend told me कि चाय कैसी भी हो फूंक के ही पीनी चाहिए. And I realized that public opinion is also a kind of a chai, that no matter who you are, फूंक के ही पीनी चाहिए. Because if you take public for granted, whichever way you are, or line of political side you are, you might have some issues with it, because nobody wants to be taken for granted. So similarly for Rahul Gandhi ji and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, both of them, I think there are things which they are trying to analyze and they are trying to present it up. For Rahul Gandhi, I can certainly see that he is very energetic after his ratings getting up after the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He wants to take an offensive, want to make it one-on-one with Prime Minister Modi. And he wants to say that, okay, there is no more vacuum as far as opposition is there. I am the leader. Congress is the party which is in the contest. For the Prime Minister, I can sense that he is just trying to say, listen, whatever you are trying to say, I have an answer for each and every point that you have made. Eventually, it is going to be 10 years of UPA compared with 10 years of my rule. That is what is going to count. That is what people are going to vote for. And as far as I am concerned, people trust me. That's what the political line I could sense. And we are just a year now, we are into actually the final leg where this campaign is going to start and going to take it forward. But having said that, I am in the business of mapping people's mood, and I say it how it is. So my only thing, I won't even say it's an advice. Probably Tehsin will laugh at it, but yes, मुझे लगता है कि चाय वाला हो, चाय पीने वाला हो, जो भी हो, चाय पियो थोड़ा फूंक के ही पियो. ये public है, वो taken for granted लेना पसंद नहीं करती.
What can I throw in one more saying? दूध का जला छाछ भी फूक फूक के पीता है. Now I'm not sure who that is in this case. I promised repartee to Sanjay Jha and Tehsin Poonawalla. So let me come to Sanjay first. Sanjay, is it a good idea to go back to Congress versus BJP, Rahul Gandhi versus Modi ahead of 2024? It seemed like that strategy was shifting for the opposition.
Tamanna, before I answer that question, and I'm getting a bit of an echo, if you could just look into that one.
Okay.
Very quickly, this is a classic case of cronyism and corruption. The government of Mr. Modi overrode the Niti Aayog in the Ministry of Finance in giving airports to Mr. Adani. And we all know that this is a one-man government of Mr. Modi. And there are several infrastructure projects that have been handed over to him. Offshore tax havens. You have, raids happening on industrialists and the handover of the assets to, Mr. Adani. This is a scam. I mean, let's be real about it. If Mr. Roy's party was so confident that they had nothing to fear, they would have actually already established an inquiry and said, let's get done with that. Why not? Get it done in 3 months and come out, doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. But they're nervous. I'll tell you why. Dr. Roy knows it, and I will call it out on your program today. The BJP and Mr. Modi are now synonymous. So if Mr. Modi's image cracks, and Adani is really the Achilles heel, because Rahul Gandhi and the world has been talking about the Adani-Modi connection. This is not something new. This has been talked about for the last 8 years. So the truth is that today, if Mr. Modi's image cracks, it's the end of the BJP. It is an existential crisis moment. I want to also answer your question. This is not the Rahul Gandhi of 2014 or even of 19. People change, political parties change. I see the hunger returning back in the Congress. I see Rahul Gandhi definitely making a clearly transformative bid to now take on the government without looking angry. I thought his speech yesterday was cool, calm, composed. He made the right points. And I think tomorrow, let's be honest, the Congress is going to be the key player as a constituent or the fulcrum of the opposition. So whether we like it or not, Tamanna, you are a very senior, experienced veteran in the media. Even if Rahul Gandhi was not the face, he would inevitably become one in all the conversations and dialogue. So it is good that you bite the bullet, take Mr. Modi head on.
Okay.
I think there are several chinks in the armor,
it's good
and
for
the
him.
politics will change.
It's good for him. It's good for Rahul Gandhi to reposition himself. It's good for the Congress, perhaps. Is it good for opposition?
We'll see that.
Is it a good
I'm
counter?
optimistic.
Is it a good
I'm
counter?
optimistic.
They're two different questions. Tehseen, yes. You wanted to respond. You said Dr. Rajdeep Roy's comments were below the belt.
Yeah, he commented on Sanjay and my intelligentsia. At least we don't have a spine that is waiting for a shiver, and we don't have the spine of a molten eclair. We say it how it is. The fact of the matter is simply this, Dr. Roy.
No, I am a spine surgeon. I can fix it. Don't worry.
Thank you, thank you, this government. Thank you, this
one.
government. Thank you, Dr. Roy. This government's spine needs a fixing. If this government fell into a Yamuna, it would be sad. If somebody rescued it, it would be a tragedy. Thank you, doctor. You should fix the spine of this government. And I'll tell you how you should fix the spine of this government.
Should be fixed
Thank
first.
you.
Your leader should be fixed first.
Yeah, that's what
Dr.
we've been trying to do in Parliament.
Okay, on a lighter note, Dr. Roy, now I believe, and now I've learned spine surgeon. But sir, please do listen to the full point before you respond.
Yes, doctor, you've been trying to fix him in Parliament. Therefore, you expunged his speech. That's why I said fix the government's spine. Let them have a spine and stand up to him. But here's the questions, Dr. Roy. In any civilized democracy, and let me tell you the acts, shell company transactions come under Benami Property Act. Insider trading comes under the SEBI Act. These are criminal offenses. These are non-bailable offenses. These entitle a jail term. Now, I am not saying the said group is indulging in it. I am saying there is some aspirations counted on it. I don't even say that the Honorable Prime Minister should take responsibility for it. Why can't the Honorable Prime Minister give a deadline, or the Honorable Finance Minister, to the institutions to resolve it and put it face-to-face in front of investors like me? Number two, the Honorable Prime Minister spoke about everything in Parliament today. What he did not speak about in Parliament, in his vague topics, he said, for example, we've achieved larger growth in 2014 to 2022 compared to the 10 UPA years. That data is completely off. He doesn't speak numbers. He doesn't speak specific. It looked like he ran away from a fight. And there is a problem. When you all accuse the Congress of corruption in Bhopal, the Congress did not run away. They faced the JPC. In 2G, when you all accused them of corruption, they faced the JPC. None of those charges were proved. The answers to allegations today can't be you all at 2G, CWT, none of you all proved. All of them got thrown out of court. They face JPC. Why
So
can't
why,
you do what you
no
preach?
JPC? I want to introduce over here Mr. PDT Achari, who's been waiting through patiently, and you know he is the expert really on process. Mr. Achari, thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for joining us on the show. I actually wanted to get your take on two specific points. One is on the action of expunging 18 parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech by the speaker. Now, is that discretion solely with the speaker, and as a result, is there now no requirement for a response to those parts of the speech? Can you hear me, Mr. Achari?
Actually, I'm not able to hear you very clearly.
All right.
There seems to be some problem with the audio. But anyway,
okay.
I assume that you have asked a question about the expansion of the.
I want to know that what is the basis for exactly what is the basis of expunging any part of the speech?
Okay. I will reply to that. Actually, you know, the expunction of words from a speech or a part of a speech is a serious thing. But I must say that the speaker has the power. The rules give him the power to expunge certain remarks which members make in the House. So speaker is well within his right to do this. But the point is that we must have a certain perspective on this whole issue. We have this parliamentary democratic system, and in this system, the basic thing that we should remember is that the government is accountable to Parliament. Article 75 makes it very clear. The government is responsible. The government is collectively responsible to the Parliament. That means government is accountable to the Parliament. I mean, whatever the government does, they have to give an account to the Parliament, and the Parliament members have the right to ask questions of what the government is doing.
Okay.
And they have the right to say that the ministers, including the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister, they are not doing things properly. All these things they can raise in the House. They have the right to do that. And then, if you look at Article 105 of the Constitution, that article gives them freedom of speech in the House. This is a privilege. It is much more than the freedom of speech and expression available to the citizens.
Okay.
Only thing is that they can exercise this freedom only within the four walls of the House. So, so the Constitution allows them freedom of speech in the House. Now that is very necessary because members of Parliament have to express their views fearlessly.
So 1 minute.
Now there are some limitations which have been imposed on this freedom by the rules. Am I continue or?
Yes, no, I just wanted to quickly understand one point, Dr. Achari. Like you made it very clear that it's the Speaker's discretion. The members of Parliament enjoy freedom of expression, freedom of speech more than ordinary citizens do. But there are some rules. I want to understand that once certain portions of a speech are expunged, does that mean that there is no necessity of the Treasury bench to respond to them? And in any case, is there a compulsion to respond to the opposition's questions?
I was coming to that. Now you asked for the basis. See, the basis is there are two things. One is certain words which are used in a speech, if they are unparliamentary, undignified, and like that, then those words can be expunged by the Speaker. And the Speaker has also the power to expunge a part of the speech or certain portions of the speech on the ground that the speech contains allegations against any person, that includes a member of Parliament or anybody outside, if that allegation is of a defamatory or incriminatory character. So this also has been done in the past. But the point is, the Speaker has to exercise great caution while ordering the expunction of a portion of the speech,
right,
or certain words in the speech. There, the point is the Speaker must ensure, on the one hand, Speaker must ensure that the member's freedom is not unnecessarily curtailed.
Okay.
The freedom of speech that is given by the Constitution,
all right,
Article 105. At the same time, the Speaker should not allow words and expressions to be used by members which are undignified or unparliamentary and things like that.
okay. And again, the discretion
Now,
lies
so far
with
as
the
the speech
Speaker.
is concerned,
Right, Dr.
there are
Roy.
so many.
Yes. So, Dr. Roy, so technically the Speaker can expunge parts of the speech. Technically, he can expunge parts of the speech. Technically,
Exactly,
the Prime
exactly.
Minister may choose not to respond.
Look,
Yeah.
I just need to speak on the technicalities of the speech. Look, Parliament is not a gathering of Twitterati or child's play. It is not a children's playground. You come here and speak something which are based on facts. What you say has to be substantiated. If you speak on something which is not substantiated by any papers, documents, the Speaker has every right to delete them. Now, once it is deleted from the proceedings of the House, obviously the leader of the House has every right not to respond to it. Having understood the political inclination of whatever, political implication of whatever Mr. Gandhi is trying to say, I'm given to understand that he will take this again to the public during his political release, election release. He is free to do that. He said this, Chokidar Chor hai, during the last election, and he got a response from the Supreme Court. He is free to take
just one
this
question,
angle
Dr. Roy.
of
No,
Modi
just
and
one
Adani
question.
axis to
I
the
mean,
public.
with all due respect,
will
sir,
answer
I have
it.
also been watching
Please.
parliamentary speeches for many, many years. I think it's not as if politicians who are elected members of parliament don't use their time to make political comments. Today also the Honorable Prime Minister has used the opportunity to attack the opposition. Politics is not something out of the domain of parliament. And not all political rhetoric is fact-checked.
He did not attack. You should just rephrase yourself. He did not attack the opposition. He pointed out to the opposition where the opposition failed, and he pointed out to his numbers that he could achieve in the last 9 years. To speak on the achievement of his own government, he has to tell what the other government, rather the UPA government, did not perform in the last 10 years. So he had to give a number. So if you call that it is an attack on the opposition, it is
political
actually
attack
not
hi
so.
hota hai,
So
Dr. Roy.
this word of
Political
yours, attack
pointing
on
to
the
nahi hota
opposition.
kabhi, but okay, anyway, Tehseen Poonawala. I have never seen a line saying someone politically pointed to the other. So in a manner of speech, it's always called a political attack, and I'll leave it at that. Yes, Tehseen.
What the arguments that the Honourable Member of Parliament is making here is extremely dangerous, not just for our future as a democracy, but as a constitutional nation as well. Tamanna, I want your viewers to understand a hypothetical situation and look what the Honourable MP say. Assuming a woman or a child has been molested or raped, there is no documentary evidence of it. There is no police report. She is unable to express herself, and a member of parliament raises it. The government will now expunge that and say, hey, you have no evidence. I am sorry. There is no proof. Please get it out. I mean, the whole point of parliament is to give members protection. When you got cash in when you got cash inside parliament during the nuclear deal, you all bought cash.
You can't put the two together. These are not
cash
equating
inside
things.
Parliament. Were you, sir, please, with respect,
These are not two equating things.
Sir, please, with respect, I'm sure, please allow me. You all bought cash inside parliament during the nuclear deal. You all bought cash. You all raised 2G. You all wasted a complete session of parliament on 2G. And I quote Shri Arun Jaitley ji on the outside parliament says, it is the right of opposition to disrupt. I quote Srimati Sushma Swaraj ji late. She said,
Tehseen, it is also the right of the speaker to expunge parts of a speech that they find unfit.
And that shows why this government doesn't have a spine. And
it is also the right. It's likewise the right of the speaker. He's done it within his ambit.
The opposition has the floor, the government has the way.
Dr. Roy, just 10 seconds. It's a gentleman's debate, just 10 seconds. In the Mahabharata, technically, Duryodhan did not break a single law. Yet, when he was withering in pain on the fields of on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna asked, "Is legality only the virtue, not morality?" Yes, the speaker is legal, but he was immoral, and I stand by that.
Okay, that's your view. That's your view, Tehseen. At the end of the day, has the functioning of Parliament now become a platform to make political points? I think that's a question that we need to
Tamanna,
ask.
5 to 10 seconds.
Very quickly, Dr. Roy, I have to
10 seconds.
Yes.
You cannot equate a rape case or a molestation case with something that is happening in the Parliament. These are far too apart an issue to be compared. That is number one. Number two is, of course, what I have said is, a person who has been hounded for the last 22 years on each and every pretext, right from being the Chief Minister of Gujarat to 9 years as the Prime Minister. You have, or for every activities of his, you have actually disregarded him, you have scolded him, you have given him galis, you have said whatnot, you have taken him to the court, when the court has also given him a clean chit, and the country is witness to it. He has proved by last 40-45 years of his public life
10 seconds,
that
sir.
you cannot make an allegation on corruption against Mr. Modi without any
why did you bring money inside Parliament?
Okay.
So why did you bring money inside Parliament?
1 minute. We'll take a break here. But I want to reiterate that has Parliament, okay, Yashwant, quick word from you, since you put that finger up after having all of that chai. After having all of that chai. You know, Yashwant, I must say, Yashwant had promised me only 10 minutes on the show. Yeah. He's stayed on, and which is why. Bonus answer. Yes, Yashwant.
Thank you, Tamanna. Just I wanted to say that, it's almost like entering in a cricket analogy, last power play of the T20 match. Just 400 days left to the Lok Sabha elections. And as you know, in the last final power play, you are likely to see the most unusual field settings, the most unusual bowling tactics, and the most unusual shots that are played. At the end of the day, it is the spectators who are going to see who is putting up what kind of effort. And yes, this is going to intensify further.
Right.
All I want to say as a student of public opinion research, that I agree that one should never take public opinion for granted, no matter what. आप कोई भी हो, चाहे opposition में हो, चाहे government में हो, as my friend said, चाय जो है फूक के ही पीजिए, चाय को taken for granted मत लीजिए. That's the final
Yashwant
thing.
Deshmukh, enjoy your chai at 11:45 in the night. But thank you again to all of you for staying on with us. We'll take a very short break. But coming up on the other side.